The first thing I'd like you to do is please research the company. Now, research does not mean go to the website of the company and look at the statistics, because remember something, the website of a company, any company, is their marketing brochure. They will only show you the good parts of the company. You have to go a lot deeper. You have to get into the nitty-gritties. You have to know everything that's been happening with the company over the last couple of weeks. How do you do that? To do that, what I'd like you to do is to open up a tab called Google Alerts. Okay? Now let's assume that I am interested. Now this is an assumption. I haven't worked with this company. Let's assume that I'm interested in working with SAP. That maybe I'm a data scientist and I want to work with SAP. So in Google Alerts, type in SAP. Okay? Now it will start pulling out from the net everything about SAP. You could also type in SAP India if you wanted to focus even narrower on your search. But before you do that, before you create an alert, come to show options and come down here, and you can modify and specify how often do you want the alerts to come, at most once a day, once a week, as it happens. Where do you want the alerts to come from? From articles on SAP, from blogs, news, web, finance. So this is really great for you to learn everything about it. From which part, from which region. So, you can specify the country, how many times a day, and so on. So it's important to understand that when you are searching for a job, you could, keep going to the web and, but that's pretty laborious, tracking all the companies. Let Google do the work for you. Create 5-6 alerts for all the companies you're tracking. And then every morning as you wake up and you have your cup of tea and you look at, your inbox, Google will give you all the alerts about the company which have happened in the last 24 hours. So it's a really good way to track a company. The next thing is, it's important to not just do secondary research. And secondary research is essentially when you are just behind a computer and you're doing research on the net. Get out in the field, get out and meet people who are associated with the company. And there are 3 types of people I'd like you to meet. Existing employees, and they will talk great stuff about the company culture, etc. I'd like you to meet ex-employees who will also tell you what is wrong with the company and why they moved on. And the company's vendors and partners, because you get a very different perspective when it comes to what kind of company that is. How does it treat its vendors and partners? Make it a point to network with people on social networks, and there are many of them out there. Make it a point to connect with all of them and go and meet these people, treat them to a cup of coffee and try to understand what is that particular company like. Now, here is a ninja tactic which I have personally used for 2 job interviews with smashing success. When you are interviewing with a company, whip out your mobile phone and go and meet the channel partners and customers and consumers of that company. Record a small video interview with them, put it all together. It's called a vox pop, which means a vox pop is basically a brief interview with either one person or multiple people. So for example, when I was interviewing for the role of a CMO, a Chief Marketing Officer at Cargill, I took my mobile phone. Now Cargill is the manufacturer of edible oil. So I interviewed a lot of housewives, which were consumers. I interviewed a lot of retailers selling edible oil. I got insights from them, put it together in a short clip of about 2 to 3 minutes, and I presented that during my interview. And you can bet your bottom dollar that I knocked the socks off the interviewers because they hadn't seen anything like this. It takes a little bit of effort. There are a lot of resources on the net on how to make a vox pop. Do it for your next interview. Meet a few retailers, distributors, customers, and consumers of the company you really want to work for. And believe me, even if you have a slightly mediocre interview, that vox pop will take it to the next level. Then research the person that you're going to meet. This is really important. You don't want to go on a professional blind date, do you? Research the person or the people, and you can always find out from the recruiter, if there is a recruiter in between, who are you going to be meeting? Or if it has been set up directly by the company, ask the HR executive, who are the people I will be meeting, who will be on the panel? And then through your Google research and on professional social media, you will be able to figure out who they are. And you know what? Sometimes you get a lucky break. You may have something in common with them. You may have gone to the same university, You may have actually worked at a previous company together, maybe not at the same time, but you may have worked at the same company. And when you can establish a rapport with that person, your interview becomes very interesting because you can talk a lot more, slightly personal stuff, which is common to both of you, rather than just being a formal professional interview. It makes you more memorable. Then please research what is your net value, what is your net worth in the market before you start the interview process with a particular company. A lot of companies ask you these two questions, which I find very annoying. One is, what salary are you expecting? And the second is, what was your last CTC? Before you answer any of them, you must know what is the value that you command, or what is the value that the role that you're interviewing for commands in the marketplace. And there are many sites which will tell you that. So, for example, this is a screenshot of a site called PayScale. And I just entered, in PayScale India. I'm taking that same example of being a data scientist wanting to work at SAP. So I wanted to know that for an average data scientist salary, what is it in India? And I found that while the average salary is 8 lakhs a year, the bottom 10 percentile is 3 lakhs and the top percentile, the 90th percentile, is about 20 lakhs. So I know the range. And when you do this, not only at PayScale, but there are a couple of other sites which you can browse on the web, you will be able to arrive at a very clear idea of what is your worth in the market. So please do that. And most importantly, you have to understand what are they searching for when it comes to you and the job profile. What is really important. Now, for example, if once again, I am a data scientist, how do I do that? How do I find out what they're looking for? Please remember to read your resume. I'm pretty shocked. I'm surprised how often candidates send me their resume, and that resume was made a year back and they're really lost and clueless about what they've put in it. So read the resume the night before the big interview.